Keir Starmer's latest foray into European politics, with his bold proposition that British troops could be deployed to Ukraine as part of a peacekeeping effort, has not only fallen flat but has exposed deep and widening fissures within Europe itself. And the rejection from Germany, from Poland and Spain was swift and unequivocal, demonstrating that despite Starmer's desire for Britain to play a leading role, the continent remains enmired in discord. And in an ironic twist, the fragmentation is a direct legacy of Brexit, a rupture that Starmer himself once opposed, then feebly accepted, and now finds himself grappling with in the arena of European security. When Starmer made his declaration in the Telegraph, it seemed he intended to project strength, leadership, and a post-Brexit Britain firmly embedded in the architecture of European security. Instead, the immediate response was one of dismissal and irritation, none more so than from the German Chancellor Scholz, who bluntly described the discussion as completely premature and highly inappropriate. And Starmer, it seems, had not only failed to align his position with European leaders beforehand, but had also miscalculated the extent of their willingness to engage in such a debate at all. Germany, Poland and Spain wasted no time in distancing themselves from his suggestions, and Scholz, who left the Paris summit early to participate in an election debate, was particularly keen to emphasise that European leaders should not be making security arrangements over the heads of Ukraine. It was a scolding dismissal of Starmer's intervention, and one that underscores Britain's diminished influence in European decision-making post-Brexit. The stark divergence in responses from European leaders highlights the fundamental tension that's existed since Britain's departure from the European Union. And while France and Sweden supported Starmer's call for increased European responsibility, Germany, Poland and Spain were quick to quash the notion. This lack of consensus reveals an ongoing structural weakness within European security arrangements, one that Brexit has exacerbated by removing one of the country's most diplomatically engaged players from the heart of EU decision-making. In many ways, Starmer's predicament is emblematic of the contradictions inherent in Britain's post-Brexit positioning. Having severed institutional ties with Europe, Britain still seeks to lead in key security matters, but lacks the diplomatic leverage to bring European leaders into alignment. Instead, Starmer finds himself making grand pronouncements that are rapidly undermined by European reluctance, leaving Britain in an awkward and increasingly marginalised position. The meeting in Paris was in many ways a response to Donald Trump's shock announcement of peace talks between Russia and the United States in Riyadh. Starmer, perhaps seeking to preempt concerns about a US retreat from European security, emphasised the need for a US backstop to any European peacekeeping mission. The very term backstop is evocative of Brexit negotiations, isn't it? A painful reminder of the UK's past entanglements with European security mechanisms. However, this strategic positioning was undermined when Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, and Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister, confirmed that negotiations would proceed without any clear European leadership. If anything, Starmer's remarks underscored how peripheral Britain has become in these matters, talking tough, but failing to set the agenda. Germany's reluctance to commit troops is a function of its broader foreign policy strategy, calibrated caution, avoiding unnecessary escalation, and ensuring alignment with US security doctrine. Berlin is acutely aware that any European peacekeeping force without full US backing will be high risk and probably not efficacious. Thus, German officials have openly stated that they will not deploy forces to Ukraine without clear American commitment, a stance echoed by Italy and other major European powers. This divergence in strategic outlook reflects a deeper European problem, the absence of a coherent and unified security doctrine. And Brexit has meant that Britain no longer has the institutional influence to shape European security policy from within, while France and Germany remain at odds over how proactive the continent should be in global conflicts. Starmer's foray into European security diplomacy has, if anything, highlighted Britain's diminished role in shaping continental security policy. His rhetoric about burden sharing and European responsibility may resonate in Westminster, but in Paris, In Berlin, in Madrid, it's landed with a thud. Brexit's divisions are still playing out, not just within Britain, but across Europe, where the absence of British leadership has left a vacuum filled with indecision and divergence. And as Starmer prepares for talks in Washington now, the real question remains, what role does Britain play in European security at all? The answer, judging by events yesterday, is far less significant than Starmer would like to admit. Britain has become a moon orbiting a fairly insignificant planet.